My favorite thing, first off, I was a Redskins fan growing up, so I didn't like you really at all.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. But one of my favorite things that you ever did was the Chad Power skit. I think I probably watched it like probably like 5 or 6 times. 'Cause I loved Penn State. Like I almost went to Penn State was my second choice, but the Chad Power skit was by far one of my favorite skits I've ever seen.
Oh, appreciate it. That was fun. It was fun for me. Like it all happened. I was doing a show for ESPN called Places, kind of a history of college football. And we wanted to do a show on walk-ons and just the importance of walk-ons around sports and football. And Penn State still has these open tryouts. So we called Coach Franklin and said, "Hey, can I come undercover to one of these tryouts and kind of see if your coaches can recognize that maybe I look a little different?" And so I had to go undercover, the wig, the mustache, and it was fun. Like at first, it was kind of joking. I was messing around with the coaches, and then all of a sudden you realize like all these guys are trying out to make a team, like their lifelong dream of making a college team and walking on, and they're all coming to me because the other quarterback, sweet kid, he couldn't throw that well, and so they're all coming to me like, "Hey Chad, like I'm running the post corner. Hey Chad, I'm going deep. Like hit me." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm responsible maybe for these guys making the team." And I got way into it, and but it was fun, and now they're making it into a show. We got Glenn Powell's playing Chad Powers. It's gonna be on Hulu. It's gonna be a series they're filming right now in Atlanta, and so this thing it like started as an idea, and now it's grown, and it's gone viral. I don't know what that's like the word, right?
That is the word.
That is, yeah,
Yeah.
that is.
No, I just wanted to know, like, how long did it take for like one of the assistant coach or whatever to figure out who, yeah, hold on, this is not Chad Powers.
I think that there was a quarterback coach there, and at first, I think a lot of these they do this every year. They actually do two a year. I don't think they get a whole lot of guys that actually get asked to walk on or asked to join the team, and so I feel like they're sometimes maybe semi going through the motions, and all of a sudden I walk in, I look horrible. I got like definitely everybody else is there is 18, 19 years old. I'm trying to look like I'm 27. I don't. I have the dad bod and everything going on at 43. And so, at first, like I ran a terrible 40 time, like a 5.6 or something. I'm doing a shuffle drill as I look horrible. But all of a sudden I start throwing, and that's when the quarterback coach is like coming up to me, asking me a bunch of questions like, "Oh, okay. Like this guy can throw. Like, hey, what's your background? Where'd you play high school? What's the deal? Like, how did you get to this point?" And so they started getting interested, and I started like taking over some of the drills. Like we're doing routes, like throwing routes to receivers. I'm like, "Hey, I don't want to run that route." I'm like, "Hey, pal, give me like a 15-yard comeback. Don't go 14. Give me 15 down the hill. It's going to be on you right out of the break." I'm like, "Coach, I'm going to read this like seam slug go. I'm going to go 3. I'm going to pump to the left. I'm going to move the safety. I'm going to look at the seam. I'm going to hit the comeback." And the coach is like, "All right, it's like your world, Chad. Just like take over the drill." And at that point, I think they're kind of like, "What's going on? Like, are we getting like, is this real? Like, what is happening?" And so they maybe knew something was up, but they never knew it was me. Like, "Hey, well, that's Eli Manning." They never knew that. There's just no way you could tell. I don't think, but I think they knew like, this is something weird's going on. And I feel like almost Coach Franklin, the head coach, it was like his way of pranking his coaches. Like, "Hey, let's put this guy
Hmm.
out there. Let's see if any of them recognize that this guy looks a little bit different than some of the other people trying out."
That's hilarious.
Josh, I know you mentioned your Commanders allegiance. JB, have you aired out your NFC East grievances with Eli yet? Before I got on, or no?
I only said, "Hey, I'm gonna keep my Eagles talk to a minimum."
All right, I got Commanders, I got Eagles. I'm not going to get any good questions right here
Thank
for
God
these
we have no
guys.
Cowboys. Thank
Some
God.
hatred.
Yeah,
Yeah, at
yes,
least
yeah,
we got a chance to have a good conversation.
yeah. Actually, unlike Josh, I got a nice video from Eli when we did the whole captain thing. Um, so thank you, Eli. I appreciate that. Josh, I'm still waiting on your
I sent a nice one second.
no your first one. Like I deserve like a public one now. Like I've been saying that for like a couple episodes now. Like I need like an actual nice Like, congratulations. Like, from you. That's all I want.
Yeah.
This is a total hypothetical, Eli, but when you had teammates that were incredibly talented but didn't work hard, what was your, how did you, how did you go about, what was your solve there?
It can be a frustrating situation. For the most part, had guys that worked hard. It was just like that extra effort. It's just more, it was like showing up on time, knowing the plays, studying the playbook. And that was, there's a number of guys through the years who are, super talented enough to be a professional football player. That's why we're there. Talented enough to be a receiver and to get the invite. And I remember, they just they wouldn't know the plays, and they would, have bust in practice. And I remember, like, in training camp, we had our strength coach was a guy, Jerry Palmieri. He would always do bed check. And I remember asking Jerry, like, hey, Jerry, when you go into this guy's room for bed check, what is he doing? And he would like, he would say, oh, he's always like playing Nintendo or playing video games every time. And I mean, I was there. I was like in my 8th year. I'm still in the playbook at night, grinding over next day's practice, like making sure I have all my checks, all different things that might occur, all going on. And here's a rookie, and he's playing Nintendo games all night. And so there's just like that mentality right there. And that was the frustrating thing. If a guy was working his tail off and he was putting in the effort, he was grinding, he was coming at me with questions and hey, had a few mistakes or busts, that happens and you get it, but you could see the guys where it meant something to them. They were putting in the effort. And so that was just a frustrating deal. If they weren't willing to put in the effort, you almost knew they weren't going to have what it takes to be truly successful and make the squad.
Well, was that question directed to anyone, Matt?
No, I just
Most of the guys that made it, most of the guys you've heard of, all had a great work ethic. All had that mentality of they wanted to be great, and they put in the effort. Some guys you didn't always expect it. Like, they didn't want to show that they were working hard or they were taking notes or they were watching film. I remember one time. Somehow, like my playbook and Plaxico Burris' playbook got switched. Like, we sat next to each other meetings. I took his home by accident, and so I'm like, I go at night, kind of go to study and do some work, and I have his notebook, and I open it up, I'm reading through it, and like the best penmanship in the world, like these great notes about the DBs that week they were going with, checks that the coach mentioned in the meeting, saying, hey, if we get cover 2 for this look, we should check to this play, like little tips, reminders, and like great penmanship, great notes that he had taken on his own. And so, but he was always like, the guy that wanted to sit in the back, act like he's not paying attention, but he was paying attention to everything. He was taking notes. He was, cued into everything going on. And a big part of his success, he knew like the checks before I was making them because he was prepared and during the week. And you saw that guys like Odell, like no one practiced harder than Odell during that time. And, every practice full speed, catches a slant, he's going 80 yards for a touchdown in practice. He catches a hitch. I mean, he might miss the next play. You got frustrated a little bit. You're like, hey, we want to run a slant, like just run the 20 yards, get back. We got another play I want to hit you on, I want to work with. We always had to almost schedule, certain plays we wanted him to run based on, hey, if this play goes to him, he's going to have to need a break. So let's not run it the next play, run it 2 plays later in practice. Pace it all out for him. But you appreciated the effort and the dedication and just the grind, and you saw it in games. It happened. He broke 80-yarders, and he worked hard. And you can, as like all receivers, they're all got a little prima donna in them. They all want the ball. They're all can be a hassle to work with at times. But the ones that grind and work, you deal with it because you see how dedicated they are. You see how hard they work at practice, and you're like, hey, I can deal with the other stuff because I see the work that they're putting in.
This episode is brought to you by Whoop.
Whoop is a 24/7 health and fitness wearable that tracks your daily activity like other wearables. But where it really shines is in its detailed breakdowns of your sleep, recovery, stress, and more to help provide you with personalized insights and feedback on your health.
I've been wearing Whoop for the last 4 years, and it's really helped me understand my recovery and sleep and make sure I'm prepared for when I need to be at my absolute best.
It's not just for professional athletes, though. I've also been wearing Whoop for about 3 or 4 years, and it really helps me stay on top of my health, get a deeper insight into my sleep. It's the first thing I check every morning. It gives you a recovery score based on your sleep and your body's vitals, and it acts as your daily guide for how much you should push yourself in your workouts.
Ooh, I was 93% recovered.
Mine was a 55.
Dang.
But see, that's because I'm pushing my body these days, and you're resting your body. Throughout the day, Whoop tracks every heartbeat and keeps you updated on the exertion and stress you're putting on your body. Then each night, Whoop will give you a suggested bedtime based on your day and how recovered you'd like to be the following day. Whoop can help track it all to show you the positives and negatives of your lifestyle.
Want to try it for yourself? Try Whoop for 1 month free on us and get your health journey started.